Morning everyone, my name is Steve Watts. I'm a partner of Alinea Consulting. This is really the first event of the northern group of the UK chapter of the CTBUH, and that is a chapter that began back in 2015. So as a UK chapter, we're 2 years old. We launched at the top of the BT Tower in London, and we've gained some pretty good traction over that 2-year period.
It's incredible what has gone on in this city just in the last 6 years. Not sure it's all totally brilliant, to be honest with you. You know, I think the biggest problem with tall buildings is that they're so commercially driven that cities around the world are becoming totally homogenized in terms of an expression. And the thing that I'm advocating as an architect and as a professor of architecture is that every city should really be looking for local indigenous responses to skyscrapers in the same way that housing and religious architecture and all different, types of architecture used to be different around the world. What I want to talk to you about today is this concept of which is more sustainable, dense urban living or suburban living. Okay, here's the conclusions. Strap yourself in. The tall buildings per square foot performed worse in energy terms than late 19th century single-family homes. This is America. They know how to consume energy with no insulation in the walls. We were staggered by that.
And maybe this is starting to touch upon what Anthony was saying. How do we design a tall building for Manchester? This is Whitworth Street, and the concept for Whitworth Street was simply a strong outer frame with a box inserted in it. And the strong outer frame starts to describe Manchester architecture. And Manchester architecture, the Victorians had an architecture of fronts and sides, and old Victorian buildings have particularly different fronts. They have very ornate fronts and very plain sides. So within that, we insert a box, an accommodation box, emphasises its verticality, glass and metal, gives it an international view or an international identity. But it respects the context. It has the active frontage at the bottom. It raises itself up beyond the Network Rail viaduct at the back. And in all our buildings, what we try and do is give everything back to the street.
Any modern organisation needs to carry out stress testing, and that's what I am. If a place can stand a presentation from me, then the CTBUH is stress tested and it will thrive in that place. Now, if you're going to build a northern powerhouse, the last place to look for advice is London. Don't do what London has done, because London and New York have built clusters of high-rise, empty resi. If you can afford one, you have the sort of job where you work long hours, you're not home much. If you can afford one, you travel a lot, you're not home much. If you can afford one, you've probably got other homes around the world, so you're not home very much. Net result, nobody's home very much. There's nobody there, it's a ghost town.
It's really easy to look at a building like the Shard, or to look out the window and see some fantastic buildings with great facades and great designs and think those are special buildings. They took a lot of effort to get right. But anyone who designs tall buildings, I'm sure Matt would agree with this, that any tall building, no matter what the use, no matter what the value of it, still takes effort to get right. So you just got to do the effort in the right places, perhaps, and you can end up with great buildings rather than mediocre buildings.